Hi, I'm Ellie, and this is your weekly theatre news recap, the show where I take all of the West End and UK theatre news and I give it to you in the only way I know how, chaotically. Now, last week was quite quiet, and this is the trend. You know, as we step into December, we start to see like the last kind of news stories come out. It's always kind of like 50-50 whether the week is going to be really busy, so I decided to lump the past 2 weeks together. So this is a bi-weekly theatre weekly news. Is bi twice in 1 week, or is bi like fortnightly, I guess? This is a fortnightly recap this week. So if you want to stay up to date with all of the UK theatre news as we head up to the end of the year, make sure you hit like and subscribe, because I do these every single week, except last week, and probably maybe next week. I don't know. We'll see. If the news isn't consistent, neither am I. This is going to be a long one. I'm telling you, 2 weeks of news. This week was busy. Last week was not. So let's dive in, starting with casting news. First up, we have a new lead at Mamma Mia! The Party. This is the ABBA experience, like the Mamma Mia! Style musical thing that's at the O2. And taking over the role of Nikos will be Ian Kelsey. He'll be joining the cast from the 5th of February 2025, taking over from Anthony Costa, who played his final performance in November. Between now and then, Fed Zani, who originated this role in 2019, will return to the cast to play this role until the 2nd of February. So if you want to catch either of those cast members, you can go head to Mamma Mia! The Party. I really want to do it at some point. It looks fun. It looks fun. Next up, we have some further casting for Hamilton as it reaches its second leg of its UK tour. So this has been touring all around the country, and joining the cast is Marley Fenton, who is our new Alexander Hamilton, as well as Billy Nevers, who has been on the tour playing Lafayette and Jefferson. He will be stepping up to take over the role of Aaron Burr, a role he has been covering throughout the first leg of the tour. Roshani Abbey, who has previously been in Hamilton in the West End, is going to be taking over as Eliza until the 25th of March. And from the 26th of March, Casey L. Shaxi will be playing Eliza. Chastity Crisp will be playing Angelica Schuyler. Ashley J. Daniels will be joining as the new Lafayette and Thomas Jefferson. Shaq Mansell James will be our new John Lawrence and Philip. And Naomi Catillo will be our new Peggy Schuyler and Maria Reynolds. And rounding this all out, we have Louis Maskell, who is our new King George III. We also have new ensemble members who will be where? The description down below. But this is very exciting. Love to see a cover stepping up to lead the show as well. Billy Nevers, I need to catch his Aaron Burr. Oh. So if you want to catch this cast, you can catch them at their 2025 UK tour dates. Also going on a UK tour is Joseph, and they have announced that Joe McElderry will be playing the Pharaoh in even more tour stops. Newly added to his list of dates is the Manchester Opera House, the Bristol Hippodrome, the Cliffs Pavilion South End, the Liverpool Empire, the Cardiff the Wales Millennium Centre in Cardiff. I can speak. The King's Theatre in Glasgow and the Milton Keynes Theatre. So if you want to catch Joe McElderry as the Pharaoh in Joseph, you can catch him then. And also his other dates, which I don't have written down, but I'm sure they'll tell you if you go to the website. Another UK tour. This is very big UK tour. How many more UK tours have we got? 1, 2, 3. We got like 4 UK tours in a row to talk about. This is a week for UK tours. The Shark is Broken. This is based on the behind the scenes of Jaws, and we have the rest of our cast for their UK tour starting in January. Obviously, we already knew that Ian Shaw would be reprising his role from the West End, playing his father Robert Shaw, and joining him will be Dan Fredenberg as Roy Schneider and Ashley Margolis as Richard Dreyfuss. So if you want to catch this play, I want to catch this play because I missed this play in the West End and I need to catch it. You can go and catch it on its UK tour. As well as that, another UK tour, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. We have more confirmed dates for the alternating child catchers, who are Charlie Brooks and the Vivian. The Vivian will be playing the child catcher at the Lyceum Theatre in Sheffield, the Birmingham Hippodrome, the Palace Theatre in Manchester, and the Pavilion Theatre in Bournemouth. And then Charlie Brooks will be returning to the role, playing the role in the Marlow Theatre in Canterbury, the Wales Millennium Centre in Cardiff, the Sunderland Empire, the Bristol Hippodrome, and the Theatre Royal Plymouth. So if you want to catch either of these performers, you can catch them at those dates. As well as that, we had the cast for Calamity Jane. I was saying the other day that I can't believe we haven't had the cast for Calamity Jane yet. We obviously knew previously that Carrie Hope Fletcher would be playing Calamity Jane, the titular Calamity Jane, but joining her will be Vinnie Coyle as Wild Bill Hickok, Luke Wilson as Danny, Seren Sandham Davies as Katie Brown, Peter Peverly, which is a very fun name, Peter Peverly. Peter Peverly picked a pepper. Who is playing Henry Miller. Holly Sasser will be playing Susan. Isaac Savage will be playing Francis Fryer. Molly Grace Cutler will be playing Adelaide. Richard Locke will be playing Rattlesnake. Ben Mabberley, which is another really fun name, will be playing Hank and the stage doorkeeper. Fergus Murphy will be playing Joe and Harry. Thomas Wolstenholme will be playing Buck. And Claire Greenway will be playing Doc. We also have some swings who are where? Description down below. Now, I actually do have a full list of tour dates for Calamity Jane, because I wrote them down. Look at me, doing my job. Calamity Jane will be opening at the Aylesbury Waterside Theatre from the 14th of February 2025, and then we'll go to Manchester, Southend, Sunderland, Woking, Leeds, Wales, Birmingham, Nottingham, Brighton, Norwich, Edinburgh, Liverpool, York, Wimbledon, Canterbury, Southampton, Sheffield, Stoke, Blackpool, Glasgow, the Cove 11, Leicester, the Plymouth Theatre Royal, Hull, Milton Keynes, Cornwall, Dublin, Llandudno, Bradford, Wolverhampton, Bromley, and Bristol. So if you want to catch Calamity Jane tour, you can go to any of those tour stops. Isn't that lovely? And the last UK tour we're going to speak about in a row. Do I have any more after this? Yes, I do. There's so many UK tours. We have the casting for Ghost Stories, the spooky, scary ghost story show that is going on its first UK tour after a West End run and a run at Lyric Hammersmith. Joining the cast for this production will be Dan Tetzel, who is playing Professor Goodman, David Cardy, who is playing Tony Matthews, Clive Mantle, who is playing Mike, Eddie Ludmer Elliott, who is playing Simon, and Lucas Albion, who is in the ensemble alongside Simon Bass, who is an understudy. Do you want tour stops? I'll give you tour stops. Ghost Stories is going to London's Richmond Theatre, Bath, Plymouth, Sheffield, Milton Keynes, Salford, Cheltenham, Liverpool, Woking, Edinburgh, Aberdeen, Glasgow, Norwich, Newcastle, Nottingham, Southend, Birmingham, Belfast, Leicester, Wickham, I was doing so well, Southampton, Wolverhampton, Brighton, Shrewsbury, Malvern, and Cardiff. So if you want to catch Ghost Stories, you can catch it at those tour stops that I very expertly said for you. Finally, in news that is not a UK tour, we have Oedipus. Oedipus is not the production that is in the West End. This is the Old Vic production. So, joining the previously announced Rami Malek as Oedipus and Indira Varma as Jocasta are Nicholas Khan as Credon, Joseph Maidel as Corinthian, Cecilia Noble as Tiresias, and Nicholas Woodson as Shepherd. So, if you want to catch this production of Oedipus, you can go to the Old Vic in London early next year. I mean, what a cast. What a cast. Rami Malek on a London stage. This is exciting. We have two Almeida productions to talk about that have announced initial casting. The first is Otherland, which is a new play written by Chris Bush. You may know her from her work on Standing at the Sky's Edge. Joining this production will be Jane Anushka, Jackie Clune, Fizz St. Clair, who I will tell you, you will know Fizz St. Clair because she is so funny on social media. There is a clip going around on TikTok at the moment that is her singing, and it's her doing Popular. But if it was set today, and it's a diva boots, you're gonna be diva boots. I love her. I love her so much. She's amazing. Icon. And rounding out the cast is Amanda Wilkin. And the other Almeida production we need to speak about is Rhinoceros, which is going to star this actor right here. The closest pronunciation I can find right now is Sobe Dirasu, which I don't think is correct. So somebody, if you know how to pronounce this name, please correct me in the comments down below. Google has failed me. But if you want to catch either of these productions, they are on next year at the Almeida. Otherland runs from the 12th of February to the 15th of March. And Rhinoceros runs from the 25th of March to the 26th of April 2025. So you can catch those then. We're almost done with casting news. We've got one more UK tour, and that is & Juliet, where they have announced really exciting casting because Lee Latchford Evans, who you may know from the little band Steps, will be alternating the role of Lance with Ranj Singh. Singh is going to be performing at Wimbledon, Dublin, Bradford, Birmingham, Sheffield, and Cardiff, and Lee will be performing in Bristol, Aberdeen, Leicester, Woking, Milton Keynes, Nottingham, Southend, Stoke, Newcastle, and Truro. So if you're near any of those tour stops and you want to catch either of these performers, you can catch them playing the dad. Lance is the dad, right? He's the dad. He's the dad. And finally, in casting news this week, we have an update from Cabaret. Now, we had heard whispers of this casting for a while, and I'm very excited. Joining the cast of Cabaret from the 27th of January 2025 will be the legendary Billy Porter as the MC. I'm dead. I am completely dead. I am deceased at this casting. I am so ready. Inject it into my veins right now. Joining will be Marisha Wallace as Sally Bowles, which, again, really, really interesting casting. Not the type of casting I expected, but Marisha Wallace, a very talented performer, and I'm excited to see her do it. Very intrigued to see her English accent. I mean, she's lived here long enough. Maybe she's developed it. And honestly, those two are exciting enough, but very exciting to me is that Vivian Parry will be returning to the production as well. She previously played the role of Fräulein Schneider in 2022, and she is taking over that role. This is really cool. This is so exciting. Great casting, really intriguing casting. I can't wait to see their takes on these roles. I'm going to need a ticket, and that's sad because tickets are very expensive and my bank is very low on funds. But that is it for casting news this week. I told you there's a lot, and let's move on to concerts and events, where we have two to talk about this week. First up, we have Figaro, which has announced some further casting. Daniel Brocklebank will be playing Antonio. Ava Brennan will be playing Gia, and Keaton Service Eagle will be playing Giovanni. And the second concert to speak about, we have We Aren't Kids Anymore. We Aren't Kids Anymore is a new musical which is going to be having a concert production at the Savoy Theatre in the West End. This will be happening on Monday the 28th of April 2025 and will star Dear Evan Hansen and Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York star Sam Tutty, and star of Six and Pretty Woman. Returning to the Savoy Theatre is Amy Atkinson. This will be presented in two acts. The first act will present We Aren't Kids Anymore, the musical, and the second act will see the writer dive into his back catalogue of musical theatre alongside some special guests. Realised, didn't even say the writer's name. Drew Gasparani. So if you want to catch this production, you can head to the Savoy on Monday the 28th of April 2025. Let's move on to miscellaneous news. We got some further casting for the concept album of Joe, the Little Woman musical. I've put it in miscellaneous because it's the cast album instead of casting. I debated it. I'm going it with it. The casting was too busy this week. So a lot of these have been announced over multiple weeks, so I'm just going to run through the full cast now. We have Christine Aladu, we have Chris Mann, we have Sophie Polino, we have Eleanor Grant, we have Rob Houchin, we have Kelly Matheson, we have Liam Tamney, and recently announced we have Laura Benanti, Broadway icon, Tony Award winner, 5-time Tony Award nominee, and rounding out the cast is Julian Ovenden. Which, this is a stacked cast for this concept album. I can't wait to listen to this. And honestly, if the cast is this strong for the concept production they keep hinting at, oh boy, it's over. Oh boy, it is over. And finally, in miscellaneous news, we have the Watson Stage Awards. So you may remember the Watson Stage Awards, they're happening next year. You had your chance to shortlist, and now you have your chance to nominate the shortlist. Do you want me to walk through all the categories? I'm not doing that. This video is long enough. So if you want to check this out, you can head to, I'll leave a link in the description where you can go vote for this year's nominees. Next, let's move on to Seasons, where we've got one to speak about this week, the Arcola Theatre. As always with Seasons, I will dive into one or two shows that I find really interesting and leave the link to the full season breakdown in the description down below. But the musical I want to pull out from their season this year is Cry Baby. This is a musical that I've been vaguely aware about. There's a song specifically in it that is very, very popular called Screw Loose. This musical is going to be having its UK premiere at the Arcola Theatre in London. This is very obviously based on the John Waters film of the same name. So if you want to catch this on stage, which I kind of want to as well, you can head to the Arcola next year, as this runs from the 3rd of March to the 12th of April 2025. And remember, check out the link in the description if you want to catch the rest of that season. Let's move on to transfers and new productions. First up, we have a new production of Alice in Wonderland. This is a family-friendly production that's about an hour long. We're just heading to the Marylebone Theatre next summer. This is being described as very puppetry-heavy. It's going to be a wonderful spectacle, I'm sure, adapting the classic book of the same name. This runs at the Marylebone Theatre from the 19th of July to the 31st of August 2025. A new musical is going to be premiering at the Southwark Playhouse Elephant next year, and this is Midnight Cowboy. This has a book by Bryony Lavery, who wrote Frozen, not this one, the play, and music written by composer Francis Egg White. This will be running at the Southwark Playhouse Elephant from the 4th of April to the 17th of May 2025, so you can catch it then if you want to see it. A very exciting announcement this week is that we are getting another Sondheim musical in London. The Frogs is going to be going to the Southwark Playhouse Borough next year. And this will star Kevin McHale, who you may remember from Glee. This will see McHale's UK stage debut playing Xanthanus, that's a name that I don't know how to pronounce, as you can very obviously tell. So if you want to catch this lesser produced Sondheim musical in London, you can head over to the Southwark Playhouse Borough as it plays from the 23rd of May to the 28th of June. Returning back to the West End, we have Retrograde. This is a play written by Ryan Callis Cameron, who you may recognise from writing for Black Boys. And this is a production that is transferring from the Kiln Theatre to the West End, specifically the Apollo Theatre, as this runs from the 8th of March to the 14th of June 2025. This stars Ivano Jeremiah as Sidney Poitier, Stanley Townsend as Mr. Parks, and Oliver Johnston as Bobby. This is very cool to see, especially because this is one of the first productions from the Kiln's artistic director, Amit Sharma. So honestly, a great way to cap off their first year in the role to already have a West End transfer. Great work. So if you want to catch this in the West End, you can catch it at the Apollo Theatre from the 8th of March, and knowing how much I love Ryan Callis Cameron's other work, I have to go and see this. Another big old fringe hit to speak about is One Man Musical. If you are unfamiliar, this is the Flo and Joan musical, which played at the Fringe earlier this year. The one man in the musical refers to Andrew Lloyd Webber. This is an unofficial retelling of his life, a satirical look at him. This has been bouncing around. This obviously started at the Fringe, then moved over to the Soho Theatre, and will now get an extended season at the Underbelly Boulevard in Soho, where it plays from the 16th of January to the 2nd of March 2025. I have been hearing so many positive things about the show, I have to go and see it. So I guess I've got to go to the Underbelly Boulevard to catch it then. Next up, something that very much surprised me this week was Choir of Man. So you may remember that a couple of weeks ago, they announced that Choir of Man would be closing in the West End. This is because the buildings surrounding the arts and the arts itself are going under renovation, with the buildings around the arts being turned into a pod hostel and the Arts Theatre getting some well-needed love. However, the plans for these renovations have stalled, which means that the Choir of Man has announced that they can have an additional run at the Arts Theatre next year. So, what's happening with this is that from January to early March, the Arts Theatre is going to go through the first set of renovations. And then Choir of Man will reopen in the theatre, having a 5-month season from the 12th of March to the 31st of August 2025, with plans to renovate the buildings and the Arts Theatre seemingly happening after this. And to celebrate this, they will be giving away free beers on stage for the first 2 weeks of their extensions. So if you want to catch Choir of Man, now that they have a little bit more time in the West End, you can catch them for their additional season. And finally, in news this week, we've made it to the very end. Screen actor Ewan McGregor will be returning to the London stage. He'll be starring in a West End play, My Master Builder, a new play written by Lila Rychek. This production will reunite Michael Grandage as director on this production with McGregor after their previous productions at the Donmar Warehouse, namely Othello and Guys and Dolls. This production will be opening at the Wyndham Theatre on the 29th of April 2025, and it runs until the 12th of July. So if you want to catch Ewan McGregor on stage, obviously this very rarely happens, hasn't happened for 17 years, you can catch him then. And that's all your news this week. What are you most excited for? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me, it helps out the channel. Here's some links to some other videos on the screen right now and a link to my Instagram if you'd like to drop me a follow over there. I also have other social links and a merch store in the description down below. But that's it for me today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.